Yeah. All right. All right. Uh-oh. We have a critic. All right, let me keep going. All right. All right. You'll have your chance, my friend. All right. Okay. You know what? I think it's a real reflection of the... See, this is the acceptable bigotry of the left. This is the acceptable bigotry of the left in which... You have this lousy beneficiary of white privilege, right? Now, if he knew an ounce of history, he would sit here, listen to me, and stand up and ask a question that will show me up. But he won't do that. He won't do that because he's a thug. He's a thug who wants to shout me down. That's all he knows how to do. Listen, you don't have the right to tell these people what they can hear. They all came voluntarily. So why don't you sit your butt down and listen to me and then ask your question? It's not your school. It's not your school. Did you start it? Did you pay for this building? You're probably... All right. All right. Yeah, let me have my say. Ma'am? Hold on. May I call in security? Ma'am, he's not letting me continue my speech. What's the policy of the university? He's shouting me down and not letting me speak.
Meanwhile, the rest of us are far less free to say what we think than we were just a few years ago. Our culture grows less open and more stifling by the day. Comedians no longer tell unapproved jokes. Scientists must abandon politically unpopular research. Ordinary people live in fear that a snitch from the sensitivity department down the hall will catch them in even the smallest violation of the liberal catechism, and they'll be fired and humiliated. The left is clamping down with maximum force on dissent. They demand nothing less than total obedience to their ever-expanding programs, whose outlines change and are confusing. Step out of line, though, and they will hurt you. So why is the left doing this? Well, because they're losing, and they know it. Take a step back for a minute. Is humorless political correctness the hallmark of self-confidence? No, it's just the opposite. Victorious armies don't behave like this. Crumbling regimes do. This is how you act when you feel your power slipping away. Democrats will likely win the election on Tuesday. They may win the next election, too. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter because their program is over. It doesn't work. Voters are rejecting their ideas, and they're doing it around the world. In country after country, globalism and cultural liberalism are dying. If you watch CNN, you might conclude that America is somehow an international pariah for having a president who calls himself a nationalist. But if anything, Trump is just one among many. How many major democracies still have governments even close to as liberal as the American Democratic Party? Almost none of them. It's all moving in the opposite direction, and it's moving at high speed. Voters everywhere want their leaders to care about and protect them. The globalist left can never deliver on that because they cannot acknowledge that the concerns of one country might outweigh those of any other country. It would be as if your parents loved the neighbor's kids as much as they loved you, maybe more. You would hate that. Voters hate that. That's why, as long as democracy is allowed, the globalist left is doomed. Progressives know that. They can smell it, and it terrifies them. So they crack down on the population. In the end, that will not work. You can't bully and harangue your own people forever. There is a limit, and we are reaching that limit. Keep this in mind as you watch the election returns on Tuesday night. What we're seeing is not the ascendance of the modern Democratic platform, but its death throes. Chris Hahn is a progressive radio host and the former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, and he joins us tonight. Chris, thanks a lot for coming on. So I don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday. Willing to believe Democrats are going to win. Looks like they are. But I wonder what you make of what's happening in the rest of the world, all around the world, in almost every major democracy. Left-wing globalism is being rejected, sometimes severely. It just happened in Brazil, in the Philippines, happened in the UK, it happened in Italy, it's happening everywhere. Why do you think that's happening? Is it the racism of voters, or is there another reason? Seriously.
Look, I think that there is a contracting of the middle class around the world, and I think that's leading to unrest. And if we're not careful, that can happen here. I think the middle class has been shrinking for many, many years, and I think they see the opportunities for their children dwindling. And when that happens, you see them turn to extreme right-wing philosophies that blame others, which is what this president is trying to do every day by embracing nationalism. It blames others for the problems of a stagnant economy. So I think it's very important that we address the concerns of the middle class and we expand our economy, we grow our jobs, and we are inclusive. And I agree with you on one point you made in your monologue.
Yes, go ahead. Tell me what you agree.
I agree with you. I agree with you on the political correctness argument. I think that people on the left have to get away from that. I don't believe in offending people, but I think that there needs to be some latitude, especially for comedians and journalists and artists, to express themselves.
How about normal people who may wear the wrong Halloween costume or say the wrong thing at a Christmas party or call it a Christmas party? Why does the left feel the need to punish them? No, I'm serious. I mean, we both agree that's bad, but why is it happening? If you're self-confident about your views, you don't act that way. Brittle people act that way,
I think there needs to be a distinction between people who are intentionally trying to offend and people who stumble into something that may be offensive and who can be corrected from that offense and then move on with their lives.
But what if they don't want to be? Hold on, wait. What if they don't want to be corrected? What if they have different views from you? Why do you feel the need to destroy them? Why does the left? I'm serious. Because if you really believe that your program is right, you convince other people. You don't get them fired and humiliated, which is what the left is doing on a large scale across our country.
I think convincing people that they may have a racist or sexist or offensive view is different from people who might say something that might be offensive to some people. You're never going to convince a racist or a sexist not to be a racist or a sexist, and those people do need to be banished and punished for it. But
hold on. So you know
make a statement off cuff. That's something you could correct.
Thank you for pulling off the mask and letting us see the authoritarian beneath, because who gets to decide what those terms mean?
You're projecting.
No, I'm not projecting in the slightest. I don't believe in punishing people because they disagree with me. I don't believe in calling them names or writing them off.
I don't either.
Because the views are different.
I don't believe in punishing people who disagree. I don't believe in punishing people who do.
No, you just said you can't convince certain categories of people who I deem sexist or racist. You just have to crush them. And I guess I believe that each person is a citizen and capable of reason and can be persuaded. And so when do we give up on that? When do we say, I don't agree with you, I have to hurt you now? That is the position of the American left. And people don't like that, by the way. Are you aware of how little people like that?
No, look. Hey, look, I believe that you got to get everybody to come around with the idea that all men and all women are created equal in this country.
I agree.
To be treated with dignity and respect. And when there are people who are not willing to treat people with dignity and respect, they need to be dealt with in this society because they are not. This is not what we have in a welcoming, open society. Look, people who are actively trying to hurt people based on their race, sex, religion, gender, or sexual identity. So
I make the argument. Hold on, slow down. I make the argument almost every single night on this show for a society that judges people on the basis of how they behave and not on their immutable characteristics like there's sex or race. I hear the very opposite rhetoric from the Democratic Party, but we're not going to make headway on that question.
Well, that's not true.
Let me ask you a deeper question, which is this. Can a Democrat, an elected Democrat, look into the camera and say, I side with American citizens over everyone else? American citizens' concerns are more important, are more important than the concerns of any other citizens around the world. And when their interests conflict with the interests of other citizens, I'm taking America's side. I don't think they can say that.
I think they can. I don't think they need to use the word nationalism, which now has a negative connotation. And just like in Mean Girls, trying to make fetch a thing, this guy is trying to make nationalism a thing. And white nationalists know what he means when he says nationalism, and that's all that really matters in America. No,
it's not actually what really matters in America. Most Americans are not bigots.
It's not even a dog whistle. It's a bullhorn when he says it.
Please stop with the stupid talking points. I'm an adult. Treat me as one.
It's true.
Most Americans are not bigots, as you know. I want you to speak slowly so I can understand what's wrong with the idea that you would put your country before other countries. If you're running the country, just like if you're running a family, you put your kids before your neighbor's kids. Why is nationalism as an idea, and don't hit me with the racist nonsense, I'm serious, what's wrong with that?